Okay, what is going on? It's time to put an end to sitcom reboots from Nerdstalgic. Okay, what is going on with the sitcom reboots?
Surprise! I'm in town for a guest lecture. I wanted to say hello.
Oh, great. Hello.
These days, sitcom reboots are a dime a dozen. Whether it's your favorite radio psychologist, America's Fullest House, or the most maddening couple on television, these reboots are often disappointing at best and utterly dumbfounding at worst.
Yeah, because the jokes don't hit the same, or the jokes aren't as funny because the situation is different now in 2025 than it was in, I don't know, 20 years ago. It's drastically different. The vibes are different. There was a pandemic. Yeah.
Hey, Preppy, how you been? Hey, okay, I guess, considering.
Before these legacy tarnishing updates came to prominence, sitcoms either ended on the high note of a funny finale or occasionally allowed their side characters to flourish on successful spin-offs. But in the age of the almighty reboot, nearly every classic sitcom has been revived.
Which is kind of crazy because I knew like a couple of these were like revived, but I didn't know about all of them. I knew like one or two, but I didn't know that all of these have had like a reboot. I guess they weren't that popular.
Trust him ever again.
I'm sorry, it's just that everyone that's here was yelling, chug, golden toast.
Since the very beginning of their history, sitcom reboots have struggled to recapture the original vision and audience of the series that came before them. Short-lived early 90s oddities like The Bradys and The Golden Palace attempted to retain the beats and dynamics that made their characters famous, but in doing so, made everyone seem extremely outdated.
I felt like I had a purpose again.
Well, yeah. One reason that everything is outdated, well, besides the fact that it just is outdated, is technology has also progressed exponentially than what it used to be for when these shows were out. We have smartphones, we have supercomputers, we got electric cars, we got AI, we got Chat GPT getting motherfuckers diplomas and shit. What do these guys got? Some random like little snarky witty comment. Like, who cares?
Well, I'm 88, and ever since... You're 87. What? You're 87. Okay.
Perhaps having learned their lesson by way of bad ratings and successful genre-skewering film adaptations like the Brady Bunch movie, studio executives seem to back down from sitcom reboots, for a while at least, because as they lay dormant, film reboots became the go-to for quick cash grabs and general audience pleasures.
Yeah, and those seemingly did mostly bad too. The reboot this film, reboot that film, come out with Joe Schmo Movie 2, Joe Schmo Movie 3. It didn't need a sequel. All right. Anything, one comment or phrase that I learned a couple years ago that is kind of true. If it's a sequel, it's a cash grab. Or any movie that comes out with a sequel is probably a cash grab, unless it's part of like the main story. You know, like in the case of what is it, Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or something like that, where there's like an overarching story that's too big to be told over like 2-3 hours.
It was Leatherface slashing his way through the box office or the theater-packing hilarity of 21 Jump Street, reviving genre franchises steadily became the new norm. Unfortunately for sitcoms, the road to redemption was still a ways off. While Girl Meets World did its best to put a spotlight on the life of Corey and Topanga's teenage daughter, the show ultimately felt like an excuse to have Corey slip into his best impression of Mr. Feeney.
Maya.
Yes, sir.
Present your homework.
Can't do that, sir.
Why not?
Didn't do my homework, sir.
Why not?
That's what I'm fighting against, sir. Oh, this could go on for a while.
Having watched Corey and Topanga grow up over the course of several Boy Meets World seasons, there should have been some evolution to their character and relationships. Similarly, when a handful of the Tanners crammed themselves back into the Frisco family home for more lighthearted dramatics, it made Fuller House feel like a tacky add-on rather than a foundation with meaningful roots.
Dang.
Regardless, both of these reboots garnered a love-hate relationship with fans that saw them through multiple seasons. And despite negative reviews and diminishing viewers of the genre, one sitcom reboot...
Well, I didn't even see either of those, Girl Meets World or Fuller House. Like, I watched those shows, like Boy Meets World and Full House, when I was a little kid, but that's because I didn't really know what was good or what was bad. I didn't know what everyone else was watching. I was just like, just go in front of the TV and just watch what's on. And I would imagine that's what kids do nowadays as well, right? But I think like the internet, like when you're a kid, is way more condensed and compartmentalized. That's why you have things like YouTube Kids or the kids version of whatever your stream service is, right? Back then with TV, like, yeah, you had like guidelines and stuff you had to follow, like kid shows or like adult shows, but I don't even know. Like there weren't as many like guidelines. Like, yes, there were, but like a kid's show today is just way more like watered down than what it was like back then.
Rose above the noise and achieved what some thought might just be impossible. Debuting in 2018, The Conners brought the humble as pie comedy of Roseanne into the modern age with some pretty fantastic results. Unlike some sitcom reboots that came before it, The Conners asks more from its audience than just remembering Roseanne. Bearing little resemblance to the format or situations of the show that spawned it, The Conners creates space for new stories that feel lived in and new characters with depth. And honestly, after shattering what was an
Oh, was this one even good?
entirely unsatisfying conclusion to the original series, while it wasn't always perfect, the reboot ended its run with grace.
Of all of us, Anne Marie knows you can't possibly survive without her, so she's gonna hang on and let you go first.
Well, I drank enough beer and ate enough hot dogs. I'm doing.
And also the laugh tracks at it, like make it so that like laugh tracks back then, like nobody had any like concept of like what was like a good joke or a bad joke. They just listened to the laugh track and laughed whenever the laugh track played. I mean, but also like, wasn't it like a lot of the shows actually had like a live audience? Or maybe they had like some laugh tracks in there. Like, you know, you just laugh whenever the laugh track laughs. But now, I mean, yeah, they still have laugh tracks, but like the jokes just they don't hit the same. Like they're not as like relatable. They're more like tongue in cheek and like there's no sharpness or wit to them. Like people will just say like seemingly normal sentences, but then the laugh track plays and it's like, that's what I'm supposed to laugh, but that's not funny to me. Maybe it's funny to someone else, but like that wasn't funny.
Doing my part.
And while The Conners should have been the rallying cry for all sitcom reboots to follow and find their own redemption, the genre continues to fall victim to repeating the same mistakes. From major whiffs like Saved by the Bell to already forgotten returns to Mad About You and Will and Grace, the modern age of sitcom reboots is remarkably grim. Although that 90s show effectively wiped away any contentious casting decisions for a new crew of unknowns, the proceedings were still exceptionally stale. Starring Eric and Donna's teenage
I didn't even know that they made a 90s show.
Daughter on summer vacation, that 90s show had every reason to work, with Red and Kitty keeping an eye on their granddaughter and her pack of wily...
They can't even do a show without the old cast members to like cling on as like cameos and like member berries. Hey guys, remember the original cast of that 70s show? Yeah, they're still here, but let's try to focus on like the new guys.
Friends, the premise seems too good to be true.
Bro.
Sadly, something just felt off about the whole thing. Slightly sanitized and without the exceptional group dynamics of the original cast, the new kids on the block failed to live.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. Sanitized. Everything is very politically correct. Nobody can take pot shots at anybody. Nobody can like take like like little ribbings of like taboo type jokes or anything like that. You got to appeal to everybody, but as we all know, whenever we try to appeal to everyone, we end up appealing to nobody.
Up to their potential. Less of an update on what kids got up to in the 90s and more of a backpedal on the quirks and format of its 70s forefathers. That 90s show simply couldn't keep anyone's attention for very long. As other genre reboots such as X-Files and Twin Peaks have experienced varying levels of success, the sitcom standards missed the mark with basically every attempt at revival. Even the animated classics can't seem to catch a break, with Futurama coming and swiftly going every few years.
And like an aspect of these sitcoms was supposed to be like relatability and how the characters were relatable to like people. But like they do the reboot and try to keep that same level of like relatability, and it just ends up falling short because it's not relatable. And most people are like just functionally depressed and find like very little meaning like in their life, if any. And it's like, it's not relatable. That 90s show, it was like I wasn't doing that in the 90s. Those jokes are like not jokes. Those are just like bad comments. Like stuff that's not funny.
And Beavis and Butthead failing to recapture the slacker audience that once worshipped it. Perhaps the best way to remedy the sitcom reboot is by looking back at the past. At one time, sitcoms were often able to repurpose their characters in totally new shows by way of the classic spin-off. Rather than bringing back the old crew for more of the same, these shows often displayed entirely new formats. These spin-offs occasionally achieved even greater heights than the original series. Of course, for every Daria, there might be a That 80s Show lurking around the corner. But while the sitcom genre is certainly no stranger to the concept of bringing back familiar characters, the basic recipe that made shows like Laverne and Shirley a success seems to have been abandoned. There is perhaps no better encapsulation of the spin-off to reboot disparity than Dr. Frasier Crane.
I'm Dr. Frasier Crane. I'm sorry I startled you.
Although Frasier's origins on legendary sitcom
I didn't even realize that. The show, what was it? Frasier came from Cheers. Huh.
Cheers has already painted the Boston transplant as the pompous yet affable professional we all know and love, his first iteration was otherwise night and day from his eventual solo show. The Cheers Frasier comes off as a happily married man's man with some major mommy issues. But when network executives decided to send the fan favorite character back to his Northwestern digs for a self-titled sitcom, Dr. Frasier truly came into his own. Whether he's trying to assert dominance over an unflinching Eddie, ditching beers for beans and Cafe Nervosa, or dealing with Dad and mourning Mother Crane, Frasier makes us forget the Doctor's former life altogether.
Yeah.
By virtue of giving a familiar character room to breathe and letting a new cast come into their own, Frasier is the personification of a spin-off done right.
Frasier Crane, KACL 780 AM.
Anytime I watched Frasier, I tried to ask my friends about it, and they just never watched it, but I always liked it. And I don't know why.
Brilliant show, Frasier. Chock full of pithy insight.
What do you want?
In fact, after 11 seasons, Frasier managed to match the lifespan of its predecessor, Cheers. And with 37 Emmy Award wins, the case could even be made that the student surpassed the sitcom master. But unfortunately, when the reboot wave began gaining momentum, even the almighty Frasier got swept up in its wake. Prior to its debut, nearly 20 years after the original series ended, the forecast on the Frasier reboot was anything but pleasant. From its unimaginative and repurposed title to the announcement that few, if any, reoccurring side characters would join the affair, Dr. Crane's return to Boston was met with little fanfare. But even after so many abysmal sitcom reboots had already come and gone before it, some Frasier fanatics still held high hopes. Because at first glance, the 2023 Frasier premise almost sounds like a classic spinoff. Rather than rehashing his career as a talk show host, the Doctor has taken up teaching at Harvard University. Instead of resuming his potentially problematic beer guzzling at Cheers, Frasier Crane is determined to fix the relationship with his estranged.
I think another bullet point to go with along all of this is that back then people didn't have a lot of choice in what they watched. That's why those sitcoms all popped off so hard. But now your avenues of media are just like Like there's so many things to do and watch and see, and I mean, like this show is not just competing with like I don't know 50 other shows at that time, like channels on cable that we used to have. It's competing with the entire internet of things to do for the last, I don't know, 20, 30 years. So it's like, if you want my attention for an entire like rebooted season, you need to come in swinging, because I could just as easily like just get bored and just stop watching and go do something else. Entertainment is so unbelievably saturated. You have infinite possibilities of what you could be doing.
Estranged son. Sadly, the good vibes ended with that premise because, in practice, the reboot of Frasier is a sad little footnote on an otherwise legendary series. Saddled with discordant sidekicks instead of truly hilarious counterparts like Brother Niles, the Frasier reboot even tries to add some Bazinga-style nerd humor with Niles' son.
Oh, God.
This is your plate.
I hate the fucking Bazinga-style humor. It's so cringe, dude.
So cool. You ever kiss a girl in here?
Piling on the humoristic stylings of The Big Bang Theory is just shameless retreading of shows that have long since ended. Same old Frasier, same old city, and basically the same attempts at humor. This mindset of keeping in line with what came before is the exact opposite of what differentiated Cheers from Frasier in the first place. And after only receiving 2 seasons before cancellation, the Frasier reboot proves that sitcoms need more than old jokes and familiar faces. Respect and nostalgia have little bearing on what gets us rolling on the couch with our eyes watering, holding our sides. Because when it comes down to it, laughter is earned. The problem is, as time goes on and entertainment changes or evolves, we just might not love the same things anymore. Perhaps the biggest laughs...
I mean, you can still love the old things because they're still there. You can't take away the memories that like you had with like all the old things. Just because a new thing comes out doesn't negate the fact you had a good time with all the old stuff. It just means that like the current iteration of the thing sucks ass. All right, a lot of my favorite IPs are like that.
In memory come from a perfect snapshot in time, when that sitcom hit just right, and it didn't matter if the same jokes or characters would still be funny decades later. Time and time again, sitcom reboots have proven to be a miscalculation in what viewers want from TV comedy. And that's it for this week's episode. So, which sacred TV sitcom do you hope never sees the reboot treatment? Let us know in the
Any of them. Leave them alone.
Comments below, and as always, be sure to hit like and subscribe to keep up with all our Nerdstalgic videos.
Dang. I had no idea like some of those shows got like reboots. What was it? Like they only get rebooted for like a season? That's kind of funny. Nobody wants to watch any of that old shit. Just let it go, dude. What is this? A lot of these reboots are also coming 10, 20 years after the original series has ended. True. They're no longer relevant to culture zeitgeist. Yep. And are just looking to cash in on our nostalgia. Yeah. And people can see that and they just don't want to take any part of it. Whereas the original run on Frasier began in September 1993, just after Cheers wrapped up in May 1993. I mean, yeah, that is a factor. Like I said, if some sequel is coming out like 10, 20 years later, it's not because for any good intention other than money, right? It's not because they just figured out a good like epiphany of a story add on to it. No, it's like, oh, can we reboot this now? Has enough time gone by to where we can reboot this now? It's like, no. Jesus. Artistic bankruptcy. Yeah. Other than that, good video, man. Keep it up. You're doing great. I can't help it but to agree with you on like all this shit, dude. But yeah, that's it for me. All right. Later, guys. Peace.